Hey! Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I hope that you're all doing very well indeed. And we're inside because it is bitterly cold outside, and I don't particularly want to have to clear the stuff in the garden or go out. What is happening in this video today is I wanted to do an extended breakdown of Pokemon Go's Halloween events, and you may have heard me vocalizing my displeasure, shall we say, about certain aspects of 2020's Halloween event and how things could have been made better. And I've got it's not disorganized, but it is very scrawly. I don't have the best handwriting in the world, I must say. In fact, I can barely read some of the words I've written. So we've had 5 Halloween events now, unbelievably. I completely forgot we had a Halloween event in 2016. Totally forgot that that even existed. Maybe because of the fact that nothing really was featured in that and we didn't really know what was going on. But I've done some research using Pokemon Go Hub and some of the Sylph Road articles, looking back at what bonuses were featured, what Pokemon were new, what new shinies were added, what the legendary was at the time, and I've actually gone through and listed in a few cases what potentially were missed opportunities by Niantic for each individual year. I'm going to see how this goes. So on the side, I'm going to create a counter for 2016, 17, 18, 19, and 20. And for each of those, we're going to dedicate a category, and we're going to see which one ends up having the most points. There are a few which are kind of self-explanatory. For example, the number of featured spawns. Now, the number of featured spawns is obviously going to be the best in 2020 because there are just more Pokemon available. That's kind of self-explanatory. But what isn't so easy to grasp is some of the featured bonuses, and the length of the event itself has drastically changed over the years. So let's begin, shall we? Also, if you happen to be wondering what the bottle is, it's actually a foot massage cream. It's not in shot anymore. First category is new Mons, new Pokemon that were added in for the Halloween event. In 2016 there weren't any. Nothing else was added. In 2017 we had the Gen 3 Ghost and Dark types added, which were Shuppet, Duskull and Sableye, one of my favourite Mons. So that's 3 new Pokemon. Then 2018 we had another 3 new Pokemon. Spiritomb via special research, Stunky, Oh Joy, and then Drifloon. In 2019, we only had 1 new Mon added, which was Yamask, the Gen 5 Ghost type. And then 2020, the Galarian Yamask. So not even like a brand new Pokemon, essentially. It's like a reversion of an original. And the fact that they're introducing Gen 8s way ahead of even thinking about Gen 6 is quite astonishing to me, really. This first category is going to have to sort of overlap with the category that I've got next, which is new shinies, because I was going to give the new Mons point to 2017, because apart from anything else, it was the first wave of Gen 3, released, which was fantastic. Everybody hyped up seeing them in the poster and all of that on the loading screen, and the fact that they were all 3 shiny from immediate release as well. They were the 3 new shinies added into the game. Technically 5 new shinies because of the family evolves. 2017 actually wins for new shiny as well. So 2017 is off to a roaring start with 2 points. Incidentally, obviously shinies weren't available in 2016, so that's discounted. Only 1 new shiny, I think, was added in 2018's Halloween event, which was Drifloon. Drifloon, the balloon ghost type, was added as the shiny. 2019, obviously, Yamask was added as the shiny for that event. And then 2020, we had Spiritomb. Spiritomb only via quest, which we're going to come on to a bit later. So we're going to go through all of the Halloween events from previous years and compare them. And then I'm going to do a bit of a breakdown on where 2020 had the most capability, the most available to it, but they missed out on some seriously sensible and good decisions that could have made our gameplay experience as the player base free to play, hardcore, pay and win, whatever. They could have changed the Halloween event massively and not made it such a horrible grind. Anyway, back to our list. The legendary raid boss. Now, obviously 2016 is discounted again because raids didn't exist. But even in 2017, they didn't actually have a Halloween-themed Legendary, because Legendaries had only been in the game for a couple of months. They came in obviously in the summer of 2017, a 3-month cycle of Raikou, Entei and Suicune. They rotated through regions of the world, so that was actually what was happening during Halloween's 2017 event. It was sort of at the end of the second rotation through to the last one, so I think we were stuck with Suicune in the UK, and then it moved on to Raikou last for us, from memory. This is where things get interesting though, as 2018 actually had the very first introduction. I remember seeing the video trailer, which was very epic at the time. They teased Altered Giratina, or at the point we just thought it was going to be Giratina. We didn't know which form, but it was the very first appearance of a Gen 4 Legendary. There was a lot of hype behind that one. 2019 saw, as you could probably go and check out my earlier videos, in fact I'll create a Halloween playlist, a Halloween event playlist for you guys to go and check out. You can check that out. I don't know which side of the screen it's going to be on. 2019 brought in Darkrai. Darkrai's actual first release was here for a good 2.5 weeks, I think. Top tier Dark type in the game. We went pretty mad for it at the time. 2020, at the moment, as I just said at the beginning of this video, is Darkrai again, but this time it has its shiny form released. This is where we have a controversial opinion. This isn't good, because realistically what could have been done is that they threw away the excitement and hype of potentially having shiny Darkrai being released for 2020 Halloween. The event this year could have been Darkrai's time to actually be sparkly and shiny for the first time, and we would have all gone completely bonkers again. But shiny Darkrai was released for 4 days in March, when a lot of the world was starting to go into lockdown. The UK wasn't quite there yet, so we went out and did some raids, but it was only 4 days. It was a 4-day raid weekend, and they threw the shiny in with that. So that was like a sort of a mad dash to go and get it. And then they had it back again for another week in May. Again. The shiny Darkrai, this is the 3rd time it's been here, and I know there are so many people, I've seen so many people in the live streams and stuff who haven't been playing as long as maybe I have or a few other people, which is totally fine. But as an overall experience, shiny Darkrai was thrown away earlier this year, and they could have easily just, you know, a 4-day raid weekend, just, I don't know, have something else that's already got its shiny. Bring back Groudon or Kyogre or something with their shinies. That's why that I put 2019. I think 2019, with the new release of Darkrai for the very first time, is the top legendary for Halloween's event. Now we come to an interesting one, is the length of the event itself, and this has shifted so much over time. It's quite extraordinary. 2016 lasted from only October the 26th till November the 1st, so that was, what, 5 days? A working week, essentially. I don't know, obviously, by calendar. 2017 went from October the 20th all the way through until November the 2nd, so that's a good chunk of time. 2018 brought it back down again. It was October the 23rd through to November the 1st, so not quite as lengthy as 2017. 2019 was actually the longest Halloween event we ever had. It lasted from October the 17th, a long way back in the middle of October, right through until November the 1st. So that's actually the longest period of time we've ever had for a Halloween event, because 2020 kicked off on the 23rd of October and has run through until November the 3rd. So it is not quite as long. It's about as long as the 2017 event was, but 2019 takes the overall time crown. Now we come to special research and research generally. Now obviously research was a 2018 edition, so 2016 and 2017 are discounted for this one. They don't actually have this featured at all. The very first time that we actually had a Halloween special quest was 2018 when Spiritomb was introduced. Spiritomb being a Gen 4 Ghost Dark type, you could only get one of it. You could only get it through the special research questline if you did the catch 108 Pokemon, catch 8 Ghost types, etc. 2019 was a rehash. No, nothing changed at all. It was just a spooky message 2019. Nothing changed at all. It was exactly the same quest, exactly the same mon to catch at the end. So that was one of the worst bits of 2019, but then there were so many other good bits that it didn't really matter. Where we have an issue though with 2020 itself, 2020 I actually had 2 quest lines. One to get Spiritomb again, and then after that you could get Galarian Yamask, which 2 mons from the special research quest line is great, except that you had to catch 108 Pokemon and then catch 94 Pokemon and do all of these raids and stuff as well, which was a lot of effort. Alongside that, though, there was the Mega Gengar research where you could collect a buttload of energy for Mega Gengar, which was great. I'm going to split this one. I think that 2020 was good for the fact that it had the most rewards. It had the most available rewards because you obviously got Spiritomb and Galarian Yamask from one quest line, then you got Mega Gengar's energy from the other one. However, there was no real originality with it at all. It was just called a Spooky Message 2020 or something, wasn't it? There's nothing crazy, or unmasked, that was it. So I know a lot of people are quite annoyed that Galarian Yamask you got 1 of. So I'm putting this as a tie, I think. 2020 and 2018. They both had good quests. Obviously the originality of 2018 was the Spooky Message being the first time it was here. That was good, new release, interesting quest, but probably tying that with the amount of rewards and stuff you actually got from this year. The featured bonuses are quite an interesting point to discuss because they've always done quite well with the amount of bonuses that you get, be it the candy bonus or a new loading screen. The Lavender Town music is always a feature, which is fantastic. 2016 simply brought us a brand new loading screen. Now, you may think, what's the big deal with that? That was actually the very first time they changed the loading screen for Pokemon Go since its release. We got one with the Gengar, I think, hidden in a tree or something. So that was like, oh my god, like back in the day when you actually thought Niantic's small changes were revolutionary. And it was simply a double candy. So it was double catch, transfer, hatch. 2017 brought yet a new loading screen, so I think that's a good tradition they've got going. New avatar items, so for your character and things like that. I think you got a Mimikyu hat. That was about it, really. Mimikyu hat and something else. The Lavender Town music was introduced in 2017. 2017 is kind of when they got their act together for various events and stuff, which I think was good. And 2 times candy, which was, I believe, for catch, transfer, hatch. Those 3. So it was like an all-inclusive candy bonus event. 2018. This one only had 2 times catch candy. There was no hatch candy, and there was no transfer candy. That's a key problem, is that I don't know why they decided to only have it as catch candy. Very peculiar. But yeah, more avatar items were added, and obviously the music made a return. And I don't think we actually got a new loading screen for this one. Not 100% sure, really. But I've got to say, I think that 2019's bonuses are probably the best, so we're going to give a point to 2019 there. We got a whole selection of new costume starters, which I obviously failed to mention that Pikachu and the Witch Hat was featured in 2017 as well. But the costume starters brought Bulbasaur, Squirtle and Charmander, each with an individual costume for a specific Halloween-themed Pokemon. So Squirtle had a Yamask hat, Charmander had a Cubone hat, and then Bulbasaur had a Shedinja costume. And Pikachu at this point, and it was the same for this year as you saw, had a Mimikyu, like, robe and hat almost. So those were very original, interesting ideas. Those were very cool original ideas. The candy bonus was back to 2 times catch, transfer and hatch. So that's the top tier essentially that you could get. And I think it was actually quarter distance with your buddy as well, potentially. Obviously, if you check out my earlier 2019 Night Hunt, a whole bunch of new avatar items were added. Cubone hat, the Litwick hat that ended up making your head float in the game. New bags and stuff like that, so that was a very plentiful bonus year. Now, 2020, we had 2 times candy again. This time it was only catch and transfer. There was no double hatch candy. No pushing of the eggs really. Costume mons made a return, but they were not new. And new avatar items again, with the many, the face masks and stuff. So I quite like the fact that they added the Halloween face masks. I think that was good. So 2019 had the best bonuses, I think. Now we come to an obvious one, the featured spawns. Clearly, 2020 is going to be the better of the bunch out of this selection because it's just got the most available to it. But nevertheless, we're going to have a little flick through, and I'll try and keep this as simple as possible. 2016 was Gen 1 only, so we had things like Ghastly, Zubat, Drowsy. Drowsy was not an interesting one here in the UK, might I just say, because Drowsy was the most common Pokemon in 2016 here in the UK. Everybody had a Hypno army. Cubone and Meowth were highlighted as apparently the boosted, like, super rare spawns, which I think Cubone in 2016 in the UK actually was quite rare. 2017 obviously included the Gen 2 Ghost and Dark types, much like Murkrow, Sneasel, Misdreavus as well, Houndoom, Houndour, and obviously Gen 3's release with the Sableye, Shuppet, and Duskull, so that had a good selection of Ghost Dark types as well. 2018 brought in a few Gen 4s, so Stunky and Drifloon. You can see that basically the pool is just adding. I'm torn between 2019 and 2020. The boosted spawns of 2019 were very good. Litwick was quite new as a Gen 5 Pokemon, and it was the first major event it was featured in, really, and it had very good boosted spawns. That was like you could stock up on Litwick candy, try and get your Chandelures evolved and do some trades. That was great. Then we had Galette, it was a pretty new mon. Murkrow, good shiny. Ghastly, hadn't had its Com Day by that point, that was a rare one back in the day. Drifloon again. Your Mask was very rare in the wild, quite a rare mon. Haunter and Houndoom, so the evolved tiers of Ghastly and Houndour were spawning as well, so you could go and hunt those. Where we come to it though is 2020. 2020 had things like a Alolan Grimer, Chimecho for Stardust, which is not really a ghost type or anything. Mischievous and Houndour. Litwick was back in better numbers. Sableye with costume. Your Mask was spawning a lot more often this time round, and much more besides. So I think that 2020 had the better spawns. To be, if it didn't, it would be quite worrying. We come to a final category, which is going to be some missed opportunities, and this is going to be where we're going to remove points from a certain year. There are only 2 years that I feel that really missed some big opportunities. 2016 could have had Gen 2 Ghosts and Dark types added very easily. That's a matter of 4 Pokemon, I think, and it would have been a nice way if Niantic had had their act together, which obviously even today they don't really have their act together in a lot of ways. Note that Adventure Sync is broken for a lot of people again. That could have been a very easy way to entice people to do the Halloween event a bit more hardcore if you had some brand new Pokemon in it, but as it was, 2016 was basically just a ghost hunt, stock up on some candy, no shinies available or anything like that. I'm not going to say that they should have added shinies because they waited right through until April of 2017 before adding Magikarp. I think just some new spawns could have aided that event better. 2017, I genuinely don't think at the time they could have added anything else. Maybe a Halloween-themed legendary. There isn't anything they could have done, really, because Mewtwo was still an EX Raid boss, or a testing EX Raid boss, I think. Obviously, we weren't even a Gen 4. There aren't any Ghost-type legendaries and stuff in Gen 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to say 2017 was a pretty good all-round event. Same with 2018, and with the addition of Alta Giratina and the hype behind that, the boosted spawns and new shinies and stuff, I think 2018 was pretty spot on as well. 2019, I would say that honestly, I don't think they could have done that any better. That was a top event in my point of view. That's why we went out for a half hour. Well, we went out really for about 5-hour night hunt or something. And we're playing that event hardcore, grinding and trying to find your mask and doing all of the quests and stuff. That was a very good time. Now we come to 2020, which is going to require me to have a little bit of a pause. 2020, I think, missed out on some major possibilities. Shiny Spiritomb could have very easily been added into the wild. For the first time, I think that I honestly don't believe that a shiny should be locked behind a quest, particularly if it is a limited time. Limited time, this was like 2 and a bit weeks or something, maybe even less. There were people who had to do, Tom had to do his after 108 quests, he got his shiny. JT Valor, the hardcore grinder of the Pokemon Go community on YouTube, he had to do 172 quests to get shiny Spiritomb. That would have driven me absolutely insane, and the fact that we did every single quest we possibly could, pretty much. I missed out on a couple of situations where I could have maybe got the car and stuff, but in reality, That's a lot of time to spend in the car going and hunting quests and doing them that way. You'd have to dedicate 2 weeks of your life to do that. So Spiritomb Shiny in the wild should have been a thing. Have the quests as well, by all means, to try and guarantee a good IV one, but it should have been featured in the wild. The other thing is the new Shiny itself. Now, there are a bunch of Ghost and Dark types which are still in the game and have no purpose to catch. Stunky. Stunky's been in the game for 2 years now. Why not add its shiny form? They're not waiting for it. They've had so many Team Go Rocket events where it could have said, hey, there's a new Dark type shiny, it's Stunky. Why not have that as the new shiny, rather than have Spiritomb being locked behind a quest wall? It could have gone a different way. Same with Shiny Galette. Galarian Yamask, they missed a big trick, because, again, something like that, where we've had the Galarian Pokemon added in before. You know, Galarian Farfetch'd, we've had like 2 or 3 days where it's been spawning like super common, and you go around and catch all of them and then trade them and try and do that. And then they added Surfetch'd evolving into the game, and you could trade, and it was here for 24 hours. And Galarian Ponyta was here in raids for 24 hours. What else? There's Galarian Zigzagoon and all of that stuff. They're in 7-kilometer eggs. Galarian Darumaka. There have been specific events and stuff for Galarian Pokemon, and you could always get more than one. Why was there only one Galarian Yamask, considering the fact that it's not actually any use, really? Rheneas, or whatever the hell it's called. It sounds like something out of Harry Potter. I seriously don't understand what the logic was behind that. I think that they thought, oh crikey, we've got to add something else. The Galarian Yamask, let's do that, and we'll just put it at the end of the quest, because can't be bothered. That's one thing. And if we're going to be critical about Niantic, I really think that, I know that the comm days of this year have been a bit lackluster due to the pandemic going on, and then we got play from home events and all of that jazz. They could have done a Litwick comm day. Litwick Community Day of 2020 for October, prior to the Halloween event, would have been epic, because then there would have been, you know, mass get that Litwick shiny candy and all that jazz. That would have been brilliant, but that's me going a little bit like off on a bit of a tangent. But there are quite a few things I think that they could have adjusted in 2020 to improve the experience and the gameplay, because there were some good stuff. There was some very good stuff this year. It's just a shame that previous actions of Niantic had kind of canned the excitement for a new shiny. The new shiny actually added was a quest grind, and actually extremely infuriating, so that took away the joy of doing it. The new Pokemon added you could get one of. If we compare it to 2018, right, where Spiritomb was originally added and you could only get one through the quest, it wasn't the new shiny. The new shiny was Drifloon, which was featured in the wild spawns and was spawning pretty often as well, and I think it was also a quest reward for a certain amount of ghost types or something. This year, you get one Galarian Yamask, and the new shiny itself, Spiritomb, is also locked behind the quest wall. So all of the new stuff is behind a quest wall, which is not on. It's not on. And especially when majority of the tasks appear to be win 2 raids, which is Niantic saying, could you pay us £2, please, for every set of 3 tasks you bother to go and collect. Not best pleased with this Halloween event, as I've probably vocalised, and I've seen quite a few people complaining about it and being quite annoyed with the RNG, which RNG is a problem. It's been a problem since day one of Pokemon Go, realistically, with legendary IVs and shiny rates and all of this sort of stuff. But some fundamental things could have changed for this year. By my calculations, and looking at the different stats and the different categories that we've selected, I would say that 2019 was the best Halloween event we had thus far. It had a new legendary that was very good. Darkrai's a good Pokemon. It was the longest period of time for a Halloween event we've ever had, so the longest amount you could chase a shiny, chase Darkrai for. It had the best bonuses. It had all the transfer candy, catch candy, new costume mons that people could go and shiny collect. The new avatar items were great, and they had an amazing bug, like a bug in the game that actually made it hilarious, where you became a Yamask yourself. And there were a few other things. The list of spawns was pretty good as well. It was a nice tight-knit group of Ghost and Dark type Pokemon, whereas this year we had a mixture. We had Chimecho in there for no real reason, and a few other Pokemon. If we were going to offer some criticism, some constructive criticism, as people always say to do, Niantic, don't put shinies behind quest walls, because 2 things. There are rural players who either have one or no stops, so that's immediately a no-go for them, because no stops you can't have a chance in hell of getting it. You have to hope that you can complete the special research in time, which catching 108 Pokemon as a rural player, I can imagine, you want to bang your head against a freaking desk, because that's impossible, even if you burn incense for days on end, in which case you're spending money in the game anyway. If you have one or two stops, you've got a lottery. Are you going to get a Spiritomb quest or not? Whereas we drove around all of West London, pretty much, a whole section of West London hunting quests, and we collected 18, yielded one shiny across 4 or 5 accounts, I think. Quest-only shinies is a no-go, particularly for a Halloween exclusive event. If it's a quest-only shiny that's in the game forever, like Spinder being a quest-only, I would say that's genuinely okay because it's a rare shiny, it has some value. Whereas this was just a quest grind and extremely irritating. Point number 2, I would say you've got to change up the special research. The research needs to be original, it needs to be something more interesting. By the time we get to 2021's Halloween event, we might have Gen 6 and a few other bits and pieces in the game. They need to think very carefully about where they want to go with that. So the new Pokemon, that's the only new Pokemon added for that wave, shouldn't be a once-only opportunity. Maybe have it so that after the Halloween event, you say, right, it's spawning in the wild very, very rarely. Because at the moment, the Halloween event is done, and as I thought, Spiritomb isn't in quests anymore. Yamask, normal Gen 5 Yamask, isn't spawning in the wild anymore. And obviously Galarian Yamask itself isn't either. So those 3 exclusive Pokemon, which one was the brand new one for this year, one was the brand new shiny, and one is a rare one, don't exist in the game anymore until next year. I don't think that's on, personally. And the other thing is, have a think about which Pokemon you're actually going to choose to be shiny in the event. Try and think sensibly, because 2017 you added 3 new Gen 3 Pokemon for that wave and all 3 were shiny. I thought that was great. The same with 2018. Yes, you added Spiritomb, Stunky and Drifloon, but one of them, the one in the wild, was shiny. 2019, yes, it was a wild spawn, and I think a quest reward as well for something, but that was also shiny at release, so that was a shiny hunt in itself. The shiny for Halloween event, or shiny for any event realistically, I think should be a wild spawn that you can go and harvest and go and hunt as hard or as little as you so please, rather than making it a grind to go and find a quest that you may not find, that may not be shiny, which you may not have any in your area at all. That's not fun. Fun is actually trying to find and hunt for something and getting some good stuff along the way, not where we were in the car with 4 phones trying to spin a stop while I'm driving past doing 20 miles an hour with my gotcha running, catching a load of stuff for me. That's not entertaining. It's not video content either, really. Let me know in the comments what you think could have been done better, having seen some of the factors of previous Halloween events like 2018, 2019, 2017's was great. What do you think could have been done better? Because obviously, the other thing to note is that 2020's was meant to be really a play from home event due to the pandemic going on, and now the UK's in yet another national lockdown, so Com Day is going to be impossible really to do. The fact that they then have a quest that requires you to catch 108 Pokemon followed by 98 or 94 Pokemon, that's not a play from home capability for most people. Have it catch 18. You know, they had the catch 18 dark and ghost types. You could get that done in a day. They could have reined it in a bit, but instead they just copy-pasted the quest from last year and then thought, Galarian Yamask, we've got to have a second stage for that. We'll just get... It's like the lottery. It was just a lottery and had the balls cycling through and thought, oh, we've got 90, that's 94. Catch 94 Pokemon? Yeah, we'll do that, why not? In 2021, I'm going to have a few predictions for this. Right, well, not predictions, a few wishes, what I would like to see implemented. First and foremost, I would like to see some new Pokemon, more than one. I would like to see 2 or 3 new Pokemon added for the Halloween event, because as Mystic7 kept tweeting out saying, Halloween event is the best event of the year, this year certainly wasn't, Sunshine. It definitely wasn't. Compare it to any of the previous years. I would like to see them add, I don't know where we'll be in the road of getting Gen 5 and Gen 6 out, but I think they should add, even if it's a precursor to Gen 7, if we're that far down the road, add some new Pokemon in a wave. A Halloween wave should be a thing. Not 1, 2, 3, 4. I would like to see that added in the game. 1 or 2 of them should be shiny. They should be the new shinies and they should spawn in the wild. That is a fundamental thing. The only saving grace, actually, of this Halloween event was the fact that Shiny Sableye had a costume, and I had a nest, and I went and hunted that sucker, and I got it after 2 days of hunting. That was good fun. That was actually a fun shiny to chase. It wasn't torrential rain, it wasn't a hurricane outside, it was easily playable, it was nice during the week, you could kind of take it chilled. The nest was good. I'm sure I've seen a lot of people manage to get it even outside of a nest hunt and stuff. So that was genuinely good fun, and that proves my point. A new shiny in the wild gives people the scope to go and get it at their own leisure. Not a quest hunt where, like Feebas Day, to get the shiny is RNG. You may have good RNG, like Nakeem. Nakeem got his shiny Spiritomb after 1 quest. I think his special research quest, possibly, I'm not sure. Whereas Tom had to do 108. That is a huge, huge difference. Doing quests within that range, catch 18 Dark and Ghost type and win 2 raids, you can actually multiply and add up how many Ghost and Dark type he had to catch, more than Nakeem, and how many more raids he had to do to get his first shiny Spiritomb. That's a massive, massive difference in gameplay style. And it's one that I don't think should quantify having the new shiny behind it. The new shiny for 2021, or the new shinies for 2021, should be in the wild. The event should be a decent chunk of time, much like 2019. I mean, this year wasn't actually too bad either, to be fair. Like, the length of time we had, 2.5 weeks, I think is a solid amount of time. The special research, as long as it's not going to contain Galarian Yamask or whatever, only 1 Pokemon behind it, can be whatever, really. I don't think it should play a big part in the Halloween event anymore, because Shiny Spiritomb is now a thing. I don't think they should put any other Pokemon behind a quest wall. The 2x candy should exactly stay as it is, that bonus. You know, the transfer, the catch, I think they should bring the hatch, and the quarter buddy distance candy thing as well. I think they should bring that back. That would be very interesting to have. Obviously, new avatar items, they can go wild with a few other things, like, I don't know, you can have a Duskull face mask, like, you know, in GTA and I think Need for Speed as well, you now have like full face mask if you're going to perform a bank robbery or something. They could have that sort of thing added. Duskull, a Shuppet hat wouldn't be too tricky. I don't know, go even further and have like a jacket or something. You can go wild with the avatar items, Niantic. People, I'd be interested in a few of them. Face masks will have a particularly good customer base nowadays, I think. The spawns, obviously, they will just amass, so I think they've got to keep it clear as to having a selection between common, medium and rare Pokemon. And I would like to see less Cubone. Thank you, Niantic. Less Cubone, because it was featured in Halloween, we've had a spotlight hour for it, and it's going to be the featured shiny for Animation Week. That's too much Cubone in a month. Sod off. We've obviously got the common things like, you know, Shuppet, Duskull in the Halloween event. We've got Misdreavus and now Drifloon. Obviously, something I forgot to mention is we had Drifloon Research Day on Sunday. That was nice. I would like to say that. Actually, 2021, I would love to see them do some individual kind of solo days, as it were. So I genuinely think they could do Stunky kind of Research Day, where it's spawning in the wild and there's a quest line. It's like a mini com day, essentially. So Stunky or Galette or something, that could be quite... Or even like, I don't know, a shiny Yamask. Do a shiny Yamask questline or something. You know, because Drifloon had been out for 2 years and then they did a massive boost of shiny rate and gave you a questline to do. I thought that was great. I thought that was a very, very good idea. And actually, while we're at it, Ian, thank you very much. One of my few Patreon supporters, a big shout out to the Patreon team. Ian actually made me aware of the fact that there is a Galarian Corsola, which is a ghost type, and it gets an evolution, which I had no idea. I don't play the main series games, so there is a Galar version of Corsola. They could do, middle of 2021's Halloween event, have the first Saturday or Sunday, It's Galarian Corsola Day, and there's a research quest line, and it's in the wild for you for 24 hours. Bang, go and go ham. That would be very interesting to have, I think. Genuinely, this video might have just been a very, very long rant, and not necessarily a rant, a bit of a breakdown, a bit of a hypothesis about what could be in the future of Halloween events. But I do think that they are very, very good events. I really enjoy them. It's just this year were tainted massively by some major issues. So do let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree with my, I guess, analysis of the Halloween events of the last 5 years, or the last 5 Halloween events we've had. And what would you like to see added in 2021's Halloween event? Do you want to see another research day like we had for Drifloon? Do let me know in the comments. And with that, I'm going to check and see if there's any darker raids for people to do. So thank you very much for watching, everybody. Please make sure to subscribe if you are new with the notifications on so you know when I upload and when I'm about to go live, because I'm going to start trying to go live a bit more often. I'd very much appreciate your support. We're up to 720 subscribers, so very much thank every person who has hit that sub button. Huge, huge thank you to all of you who like and comment all the videos. Really do appreciate your support. I think the next video is actually going to be a bit of a Lugia raid train, where we are going to do Lugia raid day, or raid weekend, lockdown style. So you'll have to tune in for the next video and see how we're going to do that. We've got a good plan. We've got a very, very interesting plan, which is going to keep in all the rules and regulations, but allow us to get as many raids and cover as much ground as possible. So make sure you got notifications on, people. And with that, I'll see you in the next video, everybody. Take care.